Trying to decide which of Go Nagai's works to choose first was a real bitch. Almost as much as choosing 11 of them. I mean, I could choose more, but then that would be longer than a whole year, and that's past his year, and there's whole other things to talk about. A whole list of other things to talk about. Sorry, my speech is a little weird because of these peanut butter cookies I've been eating. Really good. So, of course, there's the need to talk about his bigger works. But because of that, I figured a little more humble beginnings would be the best place to start. So we're going to do the Abashiri family. And for years I was pronouncing it the Abarashi family. I don't know why I read it as that, but it's pronounced the Abashiri family. At least I'm pretty sure. That's how it's spelled. Mainly because I didn't want to start off with an obvious choice. And a lot of characters in this show end up in other Go Nagai works, though usually under different names. So in a way, I guess that kind of makes it an obvious choice, but at the same time it's not, because not a lot of people know about this one. I mean, people who follow Go Nagai's works certainly know this one, but even people who might have heard of his other stuff probably don't know this one. The manga started in 1969. Much like the Shameless School manga, it was written as a big fuck you to Nagai's many haters and protesters who kept trying to tell him what he should and shouldn't be writing in his own stories. It not only continues getting riskier from this point, but more violent as well, continuing in a much darker direction. Abashiri Family is a perfect example of the mix of his two styles that involve perverted humor and over-the-top violence and action. As the manga is hard to find translated though, I've gone through some rough scans, like raws, but nothing in English. So if anyone does know where to find them, please feel free to contact. So I'll mostly be starting with talking about the 1991 OVA. Which is fitting since the first story arc serves as a basic introduction to the characters anyway. But first, let's get to them tunes. Some of you might be saying, wasn't that Cutie Honey? Well, I can't find any Abashiri Family music, like, at all. As if the OVA had no OST whatsoever. It's kind of weird. Everything about this is weird, and I mean like everything. That includes this OVA, which was released by Pony Canyon. If you watch Garo, you know why I'm saying it like that. It's kind of like an inside joke, but it's not. Oh, you know what? Pony Canyon is probably on the end of a bunch of other things I'm not thinking of. But I mostly know it for Garo, and I miss it being at the end of Garo. I don't know what happened. Please come back, Pony Canyon. The first part of this long OVA is called Explosion of Violence. We Don't Have Justice, which is really completely accurate to the episode. Released in May of 91, it starts with a bank robbery by his Heidel family, where we get an introduction of the characters as done through showing off each of their abilities. The family is commanded by the father, who is the family patriarch and head of the house. He's super small and loud, and he would later appear in Cutie Honey. He doesn't show much in the first story, but he's actually the strongest of them all. Now, just so you know, this is not a normal bank that they're robbing. In fact, this is like a normal city that they're robbing, and this is not a normal family. This is not a normal OVA. Nothing's normal about this, about any of this. If you want fucking balls to the walls insanity, then this is what you're gonna get in this one. So first to go in is the oldest brother, Goemon. No, not like a cool samurai Goemon or the descendant of cool samurai Goemon, who's even a cooler samurai Goemon from Lupin III. This guy is just a master thief, but He mostly uses his ability for perverted things like spying on naked women, but his quick hands and fingers, used for other things I'm sure, do let him catch several bullets from a fucking machine gun. By the way, did I mention that this bank is filled with a bunch of ugly man and women using machine guns? And the bullets go right back through their skulls and throats when he catches them and flicks them back. Meanwhile, this happy fuck's just yucking it up. But the bank's also got automated missile launchers and bombs all over the place. What the hell kind of bank is this? Not that it matters, because then in comes the second brother, Naojira, and he's actually a motherfucking cyborg who's almost as big of a wall of guns. Sorry, he is a big wall of guns. Like, there's no part of his body that's not guns or missiles or cybertronic. So it's really just his head that is flesh. And even that's not all flesh. So I'd call him more of a robot than a cyborg, but because he has that tiny little area of flesh, we're going to call him a cyborg. We want to get really technical, and I'm a technical person. I go right down to the nitpicky. And just in case there's not already more explosions in the first, 10 minutes of this thing, the final brother, Kichiya, unravels his mask. He comes in, he looks like a ninja. He's wrapped in a mask, or it's like a scarf or something, which is lined with more explosives. Somehow this bank is still standing, but barely, but there is still a bank, and there's even still people standing, including the teller. Not the teller, the bank president, who's an ugly goat-faced person and in a 90s spandex workout suit. And I use the term he lightly because it's more of like a thing. Monster, almost. I mean, he looks human, but he's ugly. It kind of looks like that creepy leader from Ah Real Monsters. I'm sure people know what I'm talking about. I can't remember the name. Think that, but more blubber and fat. So, Kikunosuke is the only daughter of the family who bears the family mark on her back. And this is really weird. Apparently, her brothers didn't know she was a woman until she turned 16 and her breasts fully matured. It was kept a secret from them the whole time. Only the dad knew, and only she knew, and she was raised as a boy. But even though she had a separate changing room and all that kind of stuff and was treated differently, they never figured it out. These three people who are professional bank robbers and criminals, but they can't figure out that their sister is their sister. How does that go by you for 16 years of your life? And I think she's the youngest too, so there's no way they couldn't have known. But that's the kind of flawless logic and not give a fuck writing that Go Nagai puts in his stories. So now that the big secret's out, the fight begins between Kikunosuke and the bank president. And it's a pretty brutal, fast-paced action scene. Fully lives up to 90s anime violence and surpasses some entries in some regards. Think like MD Geist level insanity. If you don't know what MD Geist is, well, I don't know what the heck you're doing with your life. You need some testosterone in your lifestyle, buddy. Well, she's unlike the others, she doesn't really have so much special thieving skills or explosives or weapons. She just uses martial arts, but she knows a bajillion crazy different styles of martial arts. One that can even shoot some kind of Kamehameha type beam in almost the same hand style. And so she makes kind of quick work of this bank president, actually. This whole OVA is really just a collection of shorter OVAs. Well, actually, this bank one's the shortest. The other ones are all kind of part of this big arc. Like I said, this is more just an introduction. Now, if shit's not getting crazy enough, now that the bank has been robbed, and this is the family's supposed last job, by the way. So it's you start by seeing what their last job? Kind of odd. You'd think you'd want to see more of them robbing things, which I think the manga shows more of that before you get to something like this. And I don't even know if this story's in the manga, but it might be. Like I said, it's really hard to find. Even the raws, super obscure. So they get out of the bank, the whole fucking army, police, National Guard, all surrounding them. This shows just how dangerous this wacky family is. Now's the time for Wise Pappy to show why he's the father. Instead of fighting with brute force, which they might be able to, I don't know. I really wouldn't doubt it at this point. He instead throws up all the money that they worked so hard to get, and everyone forgets their mission and forgets about arresting them and goes crazy, in which he states that money is the most powerful superpower of them all. And so they're able to get away scot-free because everyone's too busy grabbing all the money. And it's I don't know what bank this was, but it seemed to have all the money in the damn country. So the whole country of Japan only has one bank. And so that's how they get away from their last heist. What happens with the family after that? Well, now that Kikunosuke is revealed to be a lady, they're done being thieves, it's time to go to normal lifestyle, which means she's going to school. But when she gets sent to this boarding school, it turns out to be some kind of psychopathic prison school, which again shows a little bit of influence from previously aforementioned Shameless School, but this one's a little bit more direct and dark and definitely much more prison-like. People get like whipped and tortured if they don't obey all kinds of the ridiculous classroom guidelines that are set or schoolyard rules. It gets super fucked. And so and there are some people in the school that are even stronger than Kikunosuke, which if you're stronger than someone who knows like 16 different martial arts and can shoot beams from your hands, kudos to you. But everyone's afraid to stand up to this staff, and likely so. They've got some ridiculous members of themselves on their own, and some pretty dangerous foes. A lot of it actually reminds me of another Go Nagai work, Kekko Kamen, but you'll see there's a lot of similarities within his works, especially with these types of stories. The perverted and overlord school staff seems to be a common theme for him, and that's why I say Kill la Kill takes a lot from Go Nagai, and people don't seem to realize that. That show is just a big love letter show anyway, so if you don't know all the things that show's referencing, you're actually missing half of the entertainment and show itself. You don't really get it until you get everything that they're parodying, or at least have some kind of idea. So if you like Kill la Kill, I highly recommend watching this entire OVA. I'm not going to really talk about the whole thing, just going to say that it's, again, over-the-top violence and crazy, perverted humor, and yet, towards the end, it stops getting as silly, much like some of his other works, and it starts getting a little more serious and dramatic. And even some old foes of the family's dad comes up to face him for one last battle, and that's when you really get to see what he can do. Again, he doesn't have any super crazy techniques or weapons either. He's got a few, but he's really just more about skill and tact, and he thinks things through. He's got lots of experience. Experience and money are his greatest assets, I would say. And in a way, that's true in life. And that's my life lesson of the day. So, if you're a fan of over-the-top action, extreme violence, schoolyard settings where everything but schoolwork happens, much like a blazing transfer student, which is another inspiration for Kill la Kill, I believe anyway. I mean, come on, the same company made Kill la Kill, a decade after. It's gotta be. It's the same story. I would say check out Abashiri Family because it all boils and stems from this. Anyway, that's it for me. I'm gonna try and get some stuff not related to Go Nagai out as well now, and hopefully maybe some video content. I'm trying to make things more entertaining. I'm trying to get this more off the ground and popular. So share with your friends if you like this, if you're interested. I'm going to try and get some more Tokusatsu episodes up here. And I might start doing things where I might get a little ranty, but I don't know because that's really generic and mainstream. But I do have some things I need to get off my chest about. So we'll see where things go. Anyway, see you later, chump.